Alrighty, so hi everyone, welcome to the Business of Beauty webinar series. I'm Hannah from Elite Beauty Society, and I'm very excited to be co-hosting today's session. For those of you new to Elite Beauty Society, we provide all-inclusive liability insurance specifically for beauty professionals in the US. Our goal is to offer top quality coverage while also supporting you throughout your career. So along with insurance, we also offer exclusive member benefits like discounts on industry products, continuing education, and more. So please visit our website, elitebeautysociety.com, to learn more. I'll be dropping a link to that in the chat as well. But let's go ahead and get started. So just a quick reminder, today's webinar will be 1 hour long and it's being recorded. So this recording will be emailed to everyone tomorrow. We encourage you to ask questions as well. So please feel free to use the chat or question feature, and then we'll also reserve 10 minutes at the end for a quick Q&A session. And just to get started, so today's webinar, The Secrets to Nail Salon Disinfection, is going to be hosted by CJ. Thank you so much for joining us. CJ is the owner of Center for Beauty Salon Supply and brings over 35 years of experience in the beauty industry. She's a licensed nail technician, former salon owner and educator, and a distributor of high-quality nail care products, including in 2022, she introduced Sachet, her own professional callus care line, which has quickly become an industry favorite. CJ has dedicated her career to supporting beauty professionals through education, innovation, and products that truly make a difference, and we're so excited to have her here today to share her knowledge and passion with all of you. So welcome back, CJ, and thank you for tuning in to our Business of Beauty webinar series.
Thank you, Hannah. As always, it's a pleasure to be here. I just, education is my passion, and not everybody likes to talk about sanitation, but I absolutely love it. It was something that I got into way back in 2008, even after owning my salon for several years. And once I started to realize the importance of it, started to kind of dwell into it and realize, my gosh, there was a lot I didn't know. This series of sanitation is a dual effort. I have a nephew who is, I always forget, I think it's practical nurse or PA. I always forget the initials, but if you don't see the doctor, you're going to see him. And when he was going through college, he had to do a paper for his master's, and he did a paper on infection prevention, and is written up in the medical journal. So I recruited him to help me with the absolute true facts that we needed for our salon industry. It took him about a year to gather all the information together. And then he and I sat down, and I basically turned to him and I said, listen, I've been in this industry a long time. I consider myself to be very intelligent, but I really need you to dumb it down. I needed to be able to understand without all the technical words of it, what exactly it meant. And from there, we put together an infection prevention manual, which is non-product specific. It is basically everything that we need to know in the salon to keep ourselves safe, our employees safe, and our clients safe as well. And really to become what I like to call, through the Nail Care Academy, a salon safety salon, because people do reach out for that, especially after what we went through with the pandemic. So I'm going to go through the slides here. I promised Hannah that I would shorten it a little bit, because when I did our first segment on cleaning, I just had so many slides, because there's just an enormous amount of information to share with you. However, I did shorten it down, so hopefully we'll be able to grasp the real guts of what we need to know. So let's just go ahead and get started on that. I do want to say that sanitation as a whole is the process of keeping our places, our items, our materials, our implements free from dirt, infection, disease, etc. When we talk about the word sanitation, that means three things: cleaning, disinfection, and sterilization. We have to remember that bacterial spores are meant for survival in very stressful conditions. They can survive through anything, whether that be drought, extreme temperatures, low pH balance. I mean, we can just go on and on and on. To review, cleaning is the first process of sanitation. And really, all that means is that we need to clean to remove debris. So, when we talk about our tools, for instance, we wash them because we want to remove any debris that might be on the tools. And it's the same thing with any surface, whether that be our nail stations, our pedicure stations, our reception area, our counters at home, it doesn't matter. We have to clean first, which is the process of removing debris. Disinfection is the process of using a liquid chemical in order to destroy bacteria. Now, disinfection does not kill all microorganisms, especially those microorganisms that are resistant to bacterial spores. And we have to remember that. And I stress some of this stuff because I attend classes from some of our manufacturers that are out there, and I just cringe at the I don't want to say false information that they give, but they don't really give the whole full story. And the full story is really what I want to bring. It kills bacteria, but not bacterial spores. Again, bacterial spores, they are meant for survival in any type of situation. The other thing that you have to remember is that not all disinfection products have the same efficacy. As an example, if you're buying a bottle of disinfection product and then you have to dilute it with 32 ounces of water or 1 gallon of water, whatever it is for whatever product that you have, once you dilute that brand, it reduces its efficacy. It's not as strong. Now, there's several reasons for that, but one of the reasons is, tell me how specifically every time you mix something, you can get exactly the same amount of water or whatever chemical or non-chemical that you have to mix with it. You can never get it 100% accurate every single time. So it's been always my recommendation that you order a product that doesn't have to be diluted. Not only are you reducing the chances that it's not at full strength, but you're also providing the product that is going to have 100% efficacy when it comes to disinfecting whatever it is you need to disinfect. So the big takeaway from this is that not all disinfection products kill equally. Very, very important to remember. All states, doesn't matter, all our 50 states require some level of liquid disinfection. Now, to my knowledge, and of course this changes constantly, there isn't any out there that tells you, the specific, or doesn't tell you the specifics that you have to have on your brands. Unfortunately, with our states, the people that are making these rules aren't always the people that are qualified. And I apologize if there's anybody in here that's on any state board, but I mean, I know that for a fact based on people that I've talked to and trying to get into the state boards myself. The one thing that you do have to remember about disinfection is if you have an autoclave, which is your third level of sanitation, which is sterilization, if you have an autoclave, most state boards, and I'm going to even go out on a limb here and say all, because I've done some recent checking on it, all state boards still require you to have liquid disinfection. Even though we know that autoclave is the highest level of sanitation that you can get, the highest level of sterilization, it doesn't matter. If state board comes in, they're not going to acknowledge that you have an autoclave. They're going to acknowledge that you have disinfection. So just keep that in mind for those of you who may take that step level up, and it's a great step to take. But just because you have an autoclave does not mean that your state board is going to forgive you if you don't have a disinfection product available at your facility. There's a couple other things that I tried to leave out all the little details or technical details, if you will, but I think this is important to know. And these are questions that you need to ask whatever company you're purchasing your disinfection product from. What is the difference between EPA versus CDC versus FDA? While disinfectant products are registered as pesticides in the US, they destroy or suppress the growth of harmful microbiological organisms. That happens from the EPA, the Department of Agriculture. Now, I can tell you this is a very recent experience for me, but we have been ordering the same disinfection product that we carry, which is the BioSurf by Microlium. We have been ordering this since probably, I'm going to say 2010, 2012. It comes from Canada. I have not found anything here in the US that meets my standards. I'm not saying there's not good products, but they don't meet my standards. And we've been ordering them from Canada for all these years. The last couple years, they've become a little bit more strict. We were actually held up at the border, and I say held up. We already had our product. We received our pallet of product. And the following day, I received an email from the EPA saying that I am restricted from opening my product. The pallet has to stay intact until they get the EPA registration number. Now, why they never had that, I have no idea. We've been ordering it forever. It took us about 4 days, maybe 5 days to get that number from the manufacturer. We got it, and we left that product here intact because, as I said to my husband, I don't know what's going to happen. Never had this happen before. We could have an EPA investigator walk into our door anytime, and I certainly didn't want to be fined if they found out that we had opened our pallet and started to sell the product. So the EPA comes from the Department of Agriculture, and if a product is sold here in the US, it should be EPA registered. The FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, really deals with the manufacture of medical products, cosmetics, and medical biologics. Okay. If a product is produced from living organisms or contains components of living organisms, it has to be regulated not only by the EPA, but by the FDA. So yes, everything that comes over the border has to be regulated by the FDA, which we have to as well with our BioSurf product. And then the CDC is to inform the public. So what I would encourage you to do with whatever disinfection product you're using is to find out if they are EPA and FDA regulated. More than likely they are. It's very difficult to sell a product that requires these two regulations that aren't. But if this is new to you, then definitely find out. It's a very easy thing to do. You can either call, the easiest thing would do is to call where you get it from. And then you can also find it online as well in most cases. So I was going to take this out because, COVID-19 isn't so much of a pandemic as it used to be, but it's still a concern to a lot of people. And when COVID-19 first came out, also known as the coronavirus, and I'm going to explain that in a minute, there were many, many false claims on disinfection products. I was just crawling. My skin was just crawling because, again, I was listening to all these webinars put on by all these manufacturers because I'm constantly educating myself. And the claims that they were making it was just making me pull my hair out. There at the time, there was not sufficient testing for any manufacturer to claim that their disinfectant was effective against the COVID-19 coronavirus. So the head name is coronavirus, and under that coronavirus are a multitude of things, because I can't think of another word, COVID-19 being one of them. And at the time, nobody could make that claim, and there were manufacturers that were making that claim, and it was very, very difficult for me to bear. However, since then, we have found out and confirmed that our biocertified microlium is effective against the COVID-19 coronavirus with only a 30-second contact time. The effectiveness is against the envelope virus. So let me explain that. The envelope virus is the coronavirus. It's the virus that it's like a wrapping or an envelope, if you would. Okay. It's the envelope which comes from the infected cell or host, and it goes through a process that we call budding off. During that budding process is where new formed virus particles become enveloped, okay, or wrapped. The envelope may play a role in helping a virus survive, and I should say the envelope does play a role in helping a virus survive, and it also can play a role in infecting other cells. So what is an envelope virus, or what is a coronavirus? Influenza, Hep C, HIV, Ebola, SARS, MRSA, and now COVID-19. So that's why it's so important that when we are unfortunately introduced with these new viruses that come out, we find out exactly what type of virus they are, and we make sure that the products that we are providing will actually help destroy that virus. So just a little bit of technical information for you there. This is a little technical as well, not too bad, but many times when products are marketed and their performance differ, manufacturers have the tendency to speak on myths and dangerous beliefs. So they share things, or they say things that make it sound good. And I always say this, and not to refer to back to anything personal, but my ex-husband was famous for this. He would tell me what he thought I needed to know, but he never told me the whole story. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of our disinfection manufacturers do. I know, and I'm not going to name names because everybody has their reason as to why they use a particular product. But if I were a salon, I would want to know just one thing: is my disinfection carcinogenic? Is the product that I'm using a carcinogenic product? They don't tell you that. They won't say it isn't, but they won't just offer that information. So, just be careful when you're learning and who you're learning from. And of course, it gets worse and worse with all the search engines that we have now, and everybody has an opinion. But most of us technicians here are not aware that in the US, the EPA defines disinfection products as having 3 levels of disinfection. There's limited spectrum, broad spectrum, and hospital healthcare. And most manufacturers, again, don't tell you the whole story, but they will not usually display these levels. Hospital or healthcare level EPA requirements are lacking considerably because they don't actually require products that pass tests using a resistant virus. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Just about every disinfection product I know out there tells you that it's hospital grade. Our disinfection product is hospital grade. I have clients that call me, and that'll be one of the first questions they ask: is it hospital grade? It sounds like, whoa, it's hospital grade, that's the best thing to do. But actually, the only reason why it's classified as hospital grade is because they can use it to wash their floors. Doesn't mean that it's been it's passed a test on the most resistant virus. I mean, think about this. Think of how many people you have heard of or even have known that have gone into the hospital and they got more sick because of an infection. Well, don't you think that if the hospitals were using hospital grade, okay, disinfection products, that these products would be resistant or would be able to kill these resistant viruses. Okay, so if people use big words all the time, they don't always mean what you think they're going to mean. So what does disinfection look like? Well, here's a list of things that you need to look for. What is your contact time? Contact time is if I have a bottle and I'm putting my implements in this solution, how long am I required to keep it in that solution so that it actually kills the bacteria that might be on those implements? Okay, that's what contact time is. If I take a spray bottle of solution and I spray it on the desk, how long do I have to let it sit on that desk until it actually has killed the bacteria on the desk? That is your contact time. Replacement time is just as important. 95% of the disinfection products that are available to us in this industry have a daily replacement time. We happen to have a replacement time of 7 to 10 days, but most of them have a daily replacement time. One of your very well-known brands has a daily replacement requirement. Are you doing it? Is your salon that keeps their combs in there doing it? These are things you need to ask. You need to know what your contact and replacement requirement is. Toxicity. Are there hormone disruptors in there? Are they carcinogenic? I teach a course on oncology care in the pedicure room. We go through many things when it comes to ingredients and exposure to some of the things that we have in our salons. And granted, I'm not like all super crazy about we have to get rid of everything. But when you think about if everything you use in your salon is a hormone disruptor or carcinogenic, then that can't be very healthy. So if there's a way that we can eliminate something here and there that isn't carcinogenic, then that's great for us, our technicians, and our clients. You also have to be careful with your disposal. I know back in my day when I had my salon, which was, mainly in the 90s up until 2009, 24 years, there was a specific place that we had to dispose our disinfection product. And the product that I was using at the time is still available on our market today. And most people, they throw it down the sink, they throw it out the backyard. You need to know what your disposal rules are. And then, as I said, and I'm going to go over this on my next screen, what is your level of disinfection? Is it limited, broad, or hospital? So limited spectrum means it's effective against only a specific group of microorganisms rather than a broad range of pathogens. Quite truthfully, simply put, limited spectrum disinfection products really is not going to suffice in our salons. Broad spectrum, very good. It's effective against a wide variety of microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and molds. Hospital level, again, even though it is a little bit higher level, it's broad spectrum and it's resistant against those two things right there that I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I mess it up all the time. So I'll just let you read it. But and that's it. And that's why that's why we have so many problems that we do in our hospitals with infections, because it's not resistant against as many resistant viruses that we're introduced to in our salon. So not that it's a bad thing. Hospital level is great. Broad spectrum is great. However, don't be disguised by hospital level disinfection, thinking that is the best thing you can get, because that's not necessarily true. Let's talk alcohol for a minute. This is something that a lot of people don't know. And I talk to technicians all day long. I mean, I have a huge client base. And again, if you don't know me, my job is to inform. I don't tell you what decision to make. I don't tell you what you have to do. I don't even judge you for what you do. But I do want to make sure that you get informed with accurate information. And I know that there are a lot of salons out there that'll disinfect with alcohol. Alcohol is only an effective disinfection if it is 70% or higher. And if you mix it with distilled water. However, whether you disinfect with alcohol or you disinfect with some of the other disinfection products that are out there, you always have to clean first. Isopropyl alcohol, they're bacterial rather than bacteriostatic. They will fight against, I'm going to try to say this word, no, I'm not. Fungicidal and viridicide. You can read it. I'm from Boston. My slang is awful. I have a very difficult time pronouncing words, and I don't shy away from admitting it. However, they do not destroy spores. It kills 0 if diluted 50% or below. So when you combine it with distilled water, some people I know will put a cup of alcohol into a gallon of water. Well, 1 cup is less than 50%. It's not doing diddly squat. It's not doing anything. So what does bactericidal mean? It means that it kills bacteria. Bacteriostatic means that it stays, it's an agent that prevents the growth of bacteria. Bleach, we have, sorry, that should say bleach is an effective disinfection. Bleach is also something else that people use. I have this discussion with my husband all the time. He loves spraying our countertops with bleach. Well, not doing a damn thing. All he's doing is spreading all the germs all over the place. Why? Because you have to, number one, clean first. It must be diluted with cool or warm water, not hot. And it's 10-minute contact time. So what good is it doing? You spray, you wipe, you've just moved all the bacteria over the place and you didn't even disinfect it. Again, I know I keep repeating myself on this, but unless your disinfection product, which ours happens to have, but they all don't, unless your disinfection product has surfactants in it and is classified as a one-step disinfection, which means it cleans and disinfects at the same time, you always have to clean first. There's just no getting around it. You have to clean to remove the debris, and then you disinfect to take care of the germs. So what is proper disinfection? I actually have a video, and I apologize. I meant to put it on here because we did it during COVID, but proper disinfection is not what you think. Proper disinfection is not what 90% of our salon technicians do. It's not spraying and then wiping. It's spraying, letting it sit there for the contact time, then you disinfect or you spray again and you wipe with the clean cloth. How many of you clear your stuff off your desk, take your disinfection wipe the desk, put your stuff back on, or spray, wipe it, put your stuff back on? You're not doing anything. You're wasting product, you're wasting time, and you're not protecting yourself. So proper surface disinfection is you spray with your product, you let it sit for the contact time that the manufacturer tells you, you spray it again, and then you wipe it a clean cloth. There's no two ways about it. And again, if your disinfection product does not have a surfactant in it, you have to clean that area first, dry it, then spray, let it sit, spray, and wipe. Tools and implements. Your contact times will vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, and as I said, it has to do with the whatever the manufacturer tells you that product's contact time is. So if you have an implement soak, for instance, and it's a 10-minute contact time, you cannot put those implements in that soak, swish them around, and then take them out. You have to let them soak in there for whatever that contact time is. And again, if your replacement time from that manufacturer says that it has to replace daily, then it has to be replaced daily, because what happens if you don't? The efficacy is all gone. It's gone. If it tells you it's 10 minutes contact time and you're leaving it in there for 2, it's not working. If it tells you that that solution has to be replaced every day, it's not doing anything the second day. So we need to keep this straight. We need to know this in order to protect ourselves, protect our clients, and our fellow workers. Salon procedures will vary, of course, based on what is being cleaned. We have an infection prevention manual. I totally took a bunch of stuff out, so I shortened it here. But we have our tools and implements. We have our salon stations, which I've talked about. But what about our salon environment? What happened during COVID when we would wash our cell phones or disinfect our cell phones? When we would disinfect our pens that we were handing from client to client? When we were disinfecting our bathrooms? When we were disinfecting our handles, our door handles? What happened to all that? It just poof, went out the window. Well, we really need to get back to it, because the one thing that COVID did do is bring in awareness. The one thing that it didn't do is keep that awareness with all our people, because it's really, and I hate to say it, but it is disgusting to me for the lack of processes that I know our salons are going through. And again, I'm not judging. I just don't like it. It's just that simple. And again, to repeat, and I know I keep repeating this, but it's very important that most states, all states, require liquid disinfection. Autoclave or not, liquid disinfection. You always clean first, disinfect second, unless your disinfection product has a surfactant in it. Then it's a one-step disinfection. Always follow the manufacturer's guidelines for mixing. And the one thing that I do stress to my clients that I talk to that use products that have to be mixed is, please remember, it reduces the efficacy of the brand, and try to measure the exact amount out as possible. Because if you put more diluted water in there than you put disinfection that's required, you're doing nothing. It's not working. It just isn't working. When you are soaking your tools, make sure that there's a sufficient amount of disinfection to cover your tools. Just putting it on the tips of your tools is not going to be enough. They have to be covered. After you clean, most disinfection products require you to dry your implements before you put them into your disinfection product. Okay. Make sure that it's in an airtight container, or a container where debris can't get into. I know I see many, again, not judging, I'm just sharing with you what I see and what I don't like. But there are many clients of ours that I visit, and I will see their little jar of disinfection sitting there with their tools in it, but they have no cover. Well, what do you think's happening as we're filing and as we're e-filing? Okay. Again, make sure you leave for the required amount of contact time. Remove and wipe or rinse with cold water. And to be that broken record, diluting reduces efficacy. So when we talk about flat surfaces, so let's talk about our nail stations, let's talk about our pedicure bowls, let's talk about our reception stations, let's talk about our door handles, our retail counters, you know, anything that you know people touch that might collect dirt. If you have pedestals that your chairs sit on, any flat surface that you're going to clean and disinfect, in order to kill what needs to be killed, you need to spray it generously. Now, I do tell people that I know for a fact there are products out there that will dull your pedicure bowls. They will dull your hair sinks. So I recommend that you do a 30-day test on a specific area, because if once you start spraying and wiping, spraying and wiping, spraying and wiping, it'll take about 30 to 60 days before you start realizing that your surfaces, excuse me, are getting dull. So testing is always good. The only thing that is difficult is when we talk about our leather or our vinyl chairs, because most of that is a painted material. So if you're going to spray a disinfection product on it and you're going to wipe, it will dry it, it will crack it, and it will remove the stain, the paint color on those chairs. Now, we're not sitting on there, pardon my language, bare ass naked. However, our clients are touching the arms. They do sneeze. So you do want to have some type of procedure in order to keep your areas clean. And in this case, I recommend that you spray it on a towel and you wipe, and you do that a couple times to meet up to the time standards of your disinfection product. We just replaced, well, just probably about a year ago, might even be longer than that. I was talking to my chiropractor, because every table, every chair they have in there, it had rips in it. And as I got to know him, I started joking with him, and I'm like, what the heck's up with this? And I said, what do you use as a disinfection product? And he admittedly said, around COVID, I bought a lot of stuff because it had all gone on sale and it was dirt cheap. And he said, I'm paying the price. And I said, yes, you are. So he now currently uses our BioSurf microleum product, and they couldn't be more thrilled. They've noticed a huge difference. So just remember that the big difference with disinfection products and doing an autoclave is if there is blood or saliva on it, you need a high level grade of disinfection product. Blood and saliva is not going to be, it is going to be resistant by a low level grade of disinfection, and definitely by something that doesn't have full efficacy because it wasn't mixed properly. So, you know, hopefully we're not drooling all over our tools and we're not causing blood on our clients, but it is something that you should be aware of. And here we go. Your common areas: door handles, toilets, telephones, cell phones, pen pencils, credit card machines, your floors, your products, your shelving. These things need to be done monthly. And I'm gracious about it. If you can't do it monthly, you have to do it yearly. But in all honesty, monthly or yearly just isn't enough. I mean, sanitation should be done every single day, and everything needs to be cleaned and disinfected. It's one thing to do a deep clean, you know, maybe with your nail polish bottles or whatever. And even through COVID and even now, I tell people all the time, you should never have your polished bottles out where your clients can reach at them and touch them. You don't know where their hands were when they come in your door before they sit at your desk and they go to that rack and they start pulling out nail polishes and opening up the bottles to see what color they want. First of all, every time they open up the bottle, especially with gel polishes, it makes them thicker. So you wouldn't want them opening up the bottles. But where have their hands been? What about the person before them? And I liken this to shoes. When you go to buy shoes, if you're trying on a pair of shoes, how many people before you tried on that pair of shoes? It's just things that we kind of have to think about. A routine needs to be established, and everybody within your facility needs to be made aware of that routine. And that's why we did the infection prevention book. It was intended to be a one-time purchase. It belongs at the salon. It tells you everything you need to know about all the bacteria and spores that we deal with here in our salon environment. It tells you all about cleaning. It tells you all about disinfection. It tells you all about sterilization. It tells you the procedures that you need to follow. And this is not just because of the pandemic. The pandemic brought the awareness, but it's something that should be followed on a routine basis with everybody in your salon. And I can tell you right now, if I was still in the salon environment, that would be a requirement, whether they were an independent contractor, whether they were a commission, or whether they were an employee. My requirement for them to come to work for me would be to sit down and go through that booklet so that everybody can be on the same page, and somebody has to monitor it. So cleaning is the first step, disinfection is the second, and maybe we'll see you for the third, which is sterilization. And this is the manual that I was talking about, designed for use in salon environments, whether it's hair, nails, tattoo, massage, skincare. It is non-product specific. I brought up our BioSurf microlium today because it was conducive to a couple things that we talk about, but I do not talk about products in the manual. I do not bring up product names in the manual. This is all non-product specific, specific details that us within the beauty industry need to follow. And it doesn't matter what state you're in. It's all the same. So we do have a couple of specials we're going to offer. I'm going to let Hannah come back on. I think I finished in time. What time is it? Oh, I did good.
Yeah, you did good. We have some time for Q&A, but the specials, like CJ mentioned, I think there's $50 off that infection prevention manual, and then also a discount on the BioSurf product as well. But that will all be included with a recording and an email tomorrow to everyone for specific details and links. But for Q&A, CJ, I think we had a couple questions. So Sarah was asking, how often do you replace the disinfection solutions? Was it that every 7 to 10 days?
Well, every brand is different. The brand that we carry, which is the BioSurf by Microlium, has a 7 to 10 day efficacy time. So what I tell people is that your best bet, most people work within a work week. Whether it's, they work Monday, Tuesday, skip Wednesday, work Friday, Saturday, it doesn't matter. I just tell people to be safe. On your last day of work, clean it out. And on your first day of work, fill it up.
Awesome. And then a second question was more of a clarification, the difference between isopropyl alcohol versus, I think one of the slides was showing drinking alcohol. So if you could clarify the difference.
Well, drinking alcohol, it's interesting because drinking alcohol, our BioSurf, I'm trying to get to that, our BioSurf is, I think it's either 70% or a little bit higher of pure grain ethanol. which is actually a drinking alcohol. In fact, they get their ethanol from the same the same farm that, I call it a farm, the same farm that Grey Goose gets their ethanol for their vodka. So alcohol, isopropyl alcohol is one thing. Ethanol as an alcohol is something different.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying. So thank you for hosting today's session. I think those were all the questions that came through in the chat. Friendly reminder, this webinar is recorded, so we'll email that out along tomorrow with the contact info for CJ if you have any additional questions, and then those promo information. But a big thank you to everyone for joining us. We appreciate you tuning into Elite Beauty Society's webinar. No, I think we had one more question actually. Is it being used in disinfection jar, not just a spray for the product?
The BioSurf, if they're
Yes.
referring specifically, it both. Our BioSurf comes in two forms. We have it in a 24-ounce spray bottle, and we have it in a 5-liter, I call it wine in a box bottle. It's obviously more cost effective to get the 5-liter bottle or box, which is the one that's on sale right now. But you know, we have several clients that buy the 24-ounce as well.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying. So thank you for everyone for joining.